Hello and welcome to Delightful, Delicious, Delovely. My name is Christina Leese, and today I am going to be making an eggplant and vodka sauce timbale. I think it's also called a timpano. I'm not sure if timpano maybe requires pastry. What this really amounts to, though, is a pasta wrapped in eggplant cake. I know people really loved my cabbage cake. It was a big hit, a bigger hit than I expected. I didn't realize people love stuffed cabbage so much. It's from my childhood. I've always eaten it, but you don't see it in menus or anything, so I kind of thought it was a thing of the 70s, but it was a very successful recipe. This one is going to be similar as far as assembly and presentation. It's kind of an awesome thing. It's a pasta cake. So what I had done is this is a 1/4 cup of olive oil and 1 medium red onion that I sauteed for about 5 minutes so that you wouldn't have to watch me do it. To this I'm going to add 5 garlic cloves that I minced. I add that for about a minute. Always add garlic in the final minute before you add wet things so that you don't burn your garlic. Oh my God, it smells so good already. Now, this is a sauce I'm making. I'm making the vodka sauce right now. You don't have to make vodka sauce. You can make a regular sauce. You can use a jarred sauce. I'm making this because I had the ingredients, and so why not? I have a bunch on my blog. I have a bunch of really simple pasta sauce recipes. My arrabbiata sauce is my favorite. It's 5 ingredients or whatever. It takes 5 minutes. It's so inexpensive when you buy a big can of tomatoes for like $2, and then it's just better in every way than buying a jarred sauce. Although I will admit, in this sauce this is 24 ounces of organic strained tomatoes. By the way, you should always try to buy your tomatoes in glass or in those little carton things, because apparently the PBAs, something comes through, the acid in the tomatoes leaches through the lining of canned tomatoes, and it lets something leach into your tomatoes that you don't want. That isn't to say that I don't still buy canned tomatoes, but I try to buy them as seldom as possible. If I can avoid it, I do. All right, too much time talking. I'm going to add 1/2 cup of vodka. By the way, cooking cooks off the alcohol in wine and in vodka, so if you are sober, you can still eat things that have vodka sauces and wine sauces because the alcohol cooks right off very quickly. All right. If you don't want to use vodka, use a white wine, use red wine, or don't use any of it. It doesn't matter. You can omit it to no negative impact. I'm making more of this than I really need because what this requires, my initial recipe I think was for 2 28-ounce cans. This is 24 ounces. I'm just going to go ahead and add it right now. Easier said than done, but it's thick. That was 24 ounces, so I really only owe 32 more ounces to get to my original. Oh, turn the heat down. Oh no! Turn the heat down because that's popping everywhere. No. Hold on a second. I'm back with my splatter guard. I hate when it makes a big giant mess popping everywhere. As I was saying, 228 ounces. If my math is correct, what is that? 56 ounces, right? So that was 24. To that, I'm going to add an additional, what is this? Ooh, what did I say I owed? 30, I owed 34? I'm not going, this is 24, all right, so it's a little bit under. Not a big deal. Still gonna make more sauce than I need for this recipe. While that warms up, cover that, I would like to talk about a miraculous series of discoveries I made today at Lassen's, L-E-S-S-E-N. Lassen's is a health food store here in LA. I went this morning to go get some vegan Parmesan, and I found a bunch of other cool things. I found a can of sweetened condensed coconut milk and a can of evaporated coconut milk. These are the kind of things you typically need for baking, and I'd never seen them before, so I'm kind of excited about that. I don't make a lot of desserts, but nice to have these, and they're in cans, so they'll last for a couple years. So these were among my finds today. I also found a new brand, Punk Rock Labs. Punk, spelled like you think, rock, R-A-W-K, Punk Rock Labs. Dairy-free smoked nut milk cheese. Smoked nut milk cheese. This is good, I don't know until when, I can't even read this. Until April in 2 years. Wow, that's weird. Anyway, it was $13 and it's little, but I love smoked cheese, and so I'd like to try this brand. In fact, that brings me to, I also found a myriad of Miyoko's brand. This one is a double cream chive. This one is sun-dried tomato garlic, and this one, I opened it because I was curious, is fresh, Loire, fresh Loire Valley cheese in a fig leaf. It's wrapped up in this little fig leaf. I'm going to do a cheese tasting review for the channel soon and get back to you on how these things stack up and their value. The Miyokos are more like $8 to $10. This punk rock cheese, they had several flavors. This is the cheese. I'll show you a picture. The cheese, vegan cheese section at Lassen's is impressive, and so is their vegan, meats, jackfruits, and hot dogs and stuff. It's a great resource, and it's actually counterintuitively not expensive. It's actually cheaper than the regular supermarket for some of this niche market stuff. I went there looking for this vegan Go Veggie Parmesan in this little, shaker thing, and I bought some, but I found Follow Your Heart grated Parmesan too, which I had never seen before, and I'm going to use some of this in today's recipe. The cheeses that I use in this recipe today are not written in stone. You use what you find, what's available to you, near you. I'm going to, additionally for this recipe, I sliced eggplant, 4 medium eggplants, about 1/4 of an inch thick. I sprayed them, brushed them on both sides with olive oil, and I put them on the grill. And I grilled them on each side till they just got soft and had grill marks on them. I reserved 2 little discs that I'm going to use for decorative effect, I hope, in the assembly. But those are aside sitting cooling, and I cooked a pound of rigatoni, which I boiled it and is draining in the sink right now. I haven't decided whether I'm going to use this Miyoko's Vegan Moz. I actually have a package of Follow Your Heart mozzarella style already open, so I might just use this since it's here and it's open, and this stuff, quite honestly, is expensive. I'm not really sure. I've got 2 here, Follow Your Heart mozzarella style, and it says vegan on it, and then Follow Your Heart vegan gourmet mozzarella. I don't know if they're just ones, it's just new packaging, but this one's soft and feels like it would melt more easily, and this feels more sandwich style, and I don't know what the difference is. This is good until August, and this is good until just about today. So maybe I should use this, because this is good for a while longer. I'm rambling. All right. Sauce is boiling. I don't want it flying all over me again. There were pieces of the eggplant. I didn't want to use the pieces that were heavily still eggplant, like the purple skin, because it's sort of be rough. I didn't use these, but ones that had less skin on them, I actually chopped up and diced. And I'm going to throw them into the sauce. It'll end up giving it sort of a little richness. Like you could add, a lot of people use ground pork and beef and stuff in this thing. You could use a vegan version or a vegetarian. If you're a vegetarian version of that, you could use, Beyond Meat's beefy crumbles, or you could use a Gardein beefy crumble, or, whatever, the crumble of your choice, or not. I'm just going to use this extra eggplant because I had it and it felt bad to waste it, so I'm just putting it in there. Now, to this I'm going to add, it's not a very complicated recipe, I'm going to add a pinch of crushed red pepper. If you know me, I'm actually going to add about a tablespoon of crushed red pepper because I really like a spicy sauce. You may not. If you don't, you can omit that. And I'm going to add salt and pepper. You can add sugar if this kind of a sauce tastes bitter to you. A little, teaspoon of sugar can sort of even out the bitterness or acidity. Okay. Okay, I'm going to tear up some fresh basil leaves into this sauce as well. 1, 2, call that 3, 4, 5, 6, oops, on the floor. Call it 7, 8, we'll call this 10 big basil leaves that I'm just going to tear and put into this sauce. Also not, strictly necessary, but fresh basil is one of the most awesome things on earth, so if you have it, why not get into it and use it? So that's in there. And finally, I'm going to add, just for color, a cup of frozen peas that I've thawed out. You don't have to use peas if you don't like them. You can use more, you can use less, you can omit them. I'm adding them, they're in there. It's a done deal. Now I'm going to move this over to the stove and let it warm up while I line my freeform, springform pan that is right here. I'll be right back. Okay, now we get into the assembly. I'm starting, this is a springform pan. You could probably use a bunt pan or any other sort of pan that has a release mechanism so that you can, actually you probably do it with a regular pan that was greased well enough and just invert it. But I'm using springform pan because it's this little latch on the side that comes off and it opens up and lifts very cleanly off of a dish. I'm going to start with some parchment paper, which I've forgotten. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I have a piece of parchment paper. I have my springform pan. I'm going to draw a circle around it. I'm going to cut this paper the size perfectly to fit in the bottom of this pan. It should just be a tiny bit smaller than the circle I just drew. Okay, I'm going to cut inside the line a little bit. It doesn't need to be exact. Just don't want it to be too big. Now before I put this in there, I'm going to spray the bottom of this pan with a little cooking spray. Actually, all the interior of it, actually, the sides as well. Putting this parchment in there. This is actually not a necessary step. If you don't have parchment paper, don't sweat it. I'm just trying it today because of a thought I had. Didn't use it the first time I made this, so you don't need to use it. I'm going to spray that again. And now I'm going to sprinkle about a 1/4 cup of breadcrumbs on that. And this is probably 1/8 cup of this Go Veggie parm. Didn't use it all, it was a little less. Whoops. I'm going to shake it around, and I'm going to throw the excess away. Oops. All right, it's a little extra in there, that's good. Now, I am going to start with, this, by the way, is also just, you can do any which way that works out for you. I'm not sure if I want to invert this or not, because I would like to try to not invert it, but so I'm going to try to get the same design on both sides. That's very ambitious and highly unlikely to happen. So I'm going to put this, one of the little rounds, oh, now I need a hand towel, excuse me. Hand towel. And now I'm going to take the most intact pieces I have, and I'm going to put them in a pattern that I'll show you in just a second, overlapping one to the next so that it creates an enclosed, safe thing that will hold this pasta in there when the pasta gets in there. These are not quite long enough. So I'm definitely, let me see, am I definitely going to invert it or not? Let's see, we'll figure that out. I'm just going to finish doing this. You definitely want them to go up the side there, though. I'm going to lay a couple flat across the middle just so I have some cover. Okay. Be patient while I finish this up. Not ripped, and I don't want to rip one because I don't want the sides to rip on this thing. When the pasta's in there, I don't want them to rip. Ripped one. Okay, I'm almost all the way around. Now I'm going to, let's see, I need to keep those. So that's going to have to do. Now you want to pull them so that they come up all the way up the side. These are kind of short, so I'm going to have to cheat a little bit and put one lining the side like this. In fact, I think I'm going to do that all the way around and then commit to the inversion. So now I'm lining the side because I just need this to be, you need it to overlap actually. So that's what I'm going to do is run these up. They're tearing on me. Trust, it seems chaotic right now. It's going to work out. So you overlap some of the edges, like so, all the way around. I'm stealing half of one to wrap. Okay, got all the way around. I got all the way around there. I'll show you. So I'm going to set that aside right here. Oops. I have one last little medallion left. I'm just going to flap it in there. Who cares? All right. Now I need to mix the pasta with the sauce. I'll be right back. Okay. In this bowl is my pound of cooked rigatoni. And because I know I made way more sauce than I need for this, I'm just going to ladle some in, stir it around until I feel like I have the proper ratio. Stir this with my spoonette. Alright, this is sort of a judgment call for how much sauce you like in your pasta. I kind of like a lot, so I'm going to add, probably using about half, a little bit more than half of what I made. That seems good. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this hot pan. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Alright, now comes sort of the fun part. I'm going to spoon in a layer of the rigatoni. Just enough to cover the bottom, or what will in my case be the top, because I don't have enough eggplant. Buy the biggest possible eggplant you can get. Ideally, you want them to be big enough to cover the bottom, up the side, and flap over, and not be in pieces like that. Now I'm going to use a combination of cheeses. This is the softer and the just expiring today Follow Your Heart mozzarella. Put a couple of those things in there like that. And then I'm going to sprinkle some of my new Follow Your Heart Parmesan in there. That's a 10-ounce container that Follow Your Heart I probably will not use at all. More rigatoni. I made this a long time ago, 2013 I think it was when I made this the first time. And I made it, had a boyfriend back in the day who had an ex-girlfriend back in the day who wanted to have dinner with him despite the fact that I was living with him. You should go read it. I'll link the thing below. It's called Back Off Bitch Rigatoni. Rigatoni Eggplant Timbale. It's a pretty funny story. It's a girl power story, and it turns out, well, I won't tell you how it turns out. I'll let you read it. I'll put the link below. But fair warning, that recipe is merely vegetarian. I used heavy cream in it back in 2013. All right, there's a layer of that. Going for some more of this. And some more of this Follow Your Heart mozzarella. Probably, I'm not going to be using this whole block. It's a lot. But very cheesy. And a final layer of this rigatoni. I'm going to smush it all in there. If you can only find small eggplant, perhaps a bundt pan would be easier to use because it has, I don't know. Alright, that's all in there. Now I'm going to cover it with plastic wrap. I'm going to actually bend over where I can the eggplant back in again on top. Sort of encase it all in there. I need a towel for my hands. Alright. And I didn't even use half of that Follow Your Heart mozzarella. Now I'm going to put a piece of saran wrap on this bad boy. I always cut myself on these things. Boop. Saran wrapped it to create a cover. And then I'm going to put a plate on there. Plate. And something heavy. Just to really compact it in there. And I'm going to let it sit for like 15 minutes. After it's sat for 15 minutes in the fridge, if you have room, I do not, I'm going to bake it. The oven is at 375 for about 45 minutes. So that's what's going to happen. I'm going to let it sit, then I'm going to take the plastic wrap off, and I'm going to put foil on it and put it in the oven for 45 minutes. I'll be back. Okay, while that's in the oven baking, I wanted to make a couple of comments. First of all, this is the excess sauce that I did not use in the Timbale. I actually added the rest of that unused vegan mozzarella and melted it into the pan. And I put a dollop of almond milk in there too, Califia Farms almond milk, and made a pink vodka sauce. Oops, I forgot something. Hold on. Okay. This is the Califia Farms almond milk, unsweetened almond milk. It's my favorite brand of almond milk. In my original vegetarian recipe for this in 2013, I used heavy cream. I thought this would be too thin and make the sauce too watery, so at the store today I found this Califia Farms dairy-free better half. I think it's a coconut cream and almond milk half and half unsweetened, but I tasted it and it has a very strong taste of coconut, which I did not think would go well in this particular pasta dish. So rather than water it down or make it taste like coconut, because the vodka sauce should be pink traditionally, I decided to leave it red and then just use the extra cheese that I added in the layers to pink it up. When it cooked together, it would pink it up. So those of you out there going, hey, where's the cream in this vodka sauce? That's the explanation of why I didn't use either of these two things and just went for heavy cheese in the layers. Also, the oven's at 375. I'm cooking it covered in foil for half an hour. Then I'm going to take the foil off and cook it for 15 more minutes, and that is that. Then I'll be back. I'll let it cool for 15 minutes too, and then I'll be back, and hopefully I'll invert it and successfully. You get to see what it looks like out of the pan. Right. Okay, it's out and it's been cooling for about 15 minutes. I am now going to just run a knife around the edge just to make sure it doesn't stick. I'm hoping the weight of it will pull it out. Ideally, this would have had eggplant on the top and bottom. I would have layered more here and flipped the longer pieces over and put a center dot of that round disc like I had in the middle. So I would have had an option of which way I wanted to go with it as far as inverting it or not. I'm committed to inversion now. Is this plate big enough? Hold on, let me check another plate. Another plate. I feel like it's 6 of 1, and this one's prettier. I'm only concerned because there's a little bit of, it's not totally a flat plate, so I'm hoping this little lip here doesn't make it collapse. This plate is bigger, but also has that, I'm kind of torn as I'm flipping this thing. I'm only gonna get one chance at it. Do I dare? I'm just going to go for it. Fuck it. All right, I'm flipping. Okay. And now I'm going to release. This is the way. Sorry. I'm going to release this. This is why springform pans are nice. This is, ooh, it's hot. Oh, goodness. I think this worked out. I need a towel. All right. I'm going to peel this off. Let's see. Okay, it looks pretty friggin' fantastic. I am happy about that. There are a couple of spots around the sides. There's a spot right here where there's rigatoni showing, so I lost some eggplant there. And this guy wants to split out a little bit. Ooh, get in there, get in there. But anyway, oops, and there it fell. All right, I'm just going to eat it. See how it tastes. It's good. All right, so there you have it. This is my recipe for a eggplant timbale with rigatoni and vodka sauce. I used the word my. I just got criticized recently for using the word my on a recipe. It was an Indian food recipe. It was the aloo palak. Somebody said, "Why do you call it my recipe?" Aloo palak has existed for centuries. And yes, while that is true, I'm not claiming to have invented the eggplant timbale. I'm not claiming to have invented aloo palak. I am simply saying, when I use the word my, that I didn't copy somebody else's recipe. I didn't follow somebody else's recipe in order to make what I'm presenting. What makes it mine in many cases is that it's vegan, so I've never seen a vegan version of a lot of these things. Although if I Google it, it might be there. I'll just simply adapted my own old recipe. And with Indian food, I've been making it so long, I sort of just wing it. And I've said before, and I'll say again, I typically use more spices in my Indian food than other people do. I'm pretty heavy-handed in the spice department. But, you know, if you look up 10 different recipes for aloo palak or 10 different recipes for this on the internet, you're going to find 10 variations. You're going to find some people who use pork, or some people who use, if it's vegan, but they use, you know, Believe meat crumbles, or with the aloo palak, who knows? They use a different non-dairy thing to cream it up with. Somebody thought I assumed I had used tofu to do it, and I didn't put any tofu in that aloo palak dish. So anyway, again, it goes back to the person who criticized me as a vegan that I've known for a long time. She also cooks and posts recipes, and I've never once criticized. That's a timer. Criticized one of her recipes, nor have I criticized anybody else's recipes. I just don't roll that way. I don't know. If you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. Politically, I might chime in, but seldom on anyone else's wall than my own. But I would never criticize somebody's recipe or bust their balls about contributing to, especially a vegan recipe. It's a growing community. It's one that faces a lot of challenges, and it seems most of all it faces challenges from within, which is just the most exhausting reality. That said, I would let this sit for a little bit. I wouldn't cut into it for a good 15 minutes, so otherwise it'll just fall apart. You might want to put a little extra tomato sauce on top of it, and some shredded basil or some parsley, and cut it up pie style, cake style, and serve it that way. And that is it. Sorry, I'll get off my soapbox now. Oh, one final thing. I said it before, and I should say it again about this particular recipe. I had 4 sort of small to medium eggplants, so that's all the supermarket had. You want the biggest possible ones you can get your hands on, because you want them ultimately to wrap from the center of the bottom up the sides and then back into the other side. You want long ones. In fact, even those Japanese ones that are long, you might have a bazillion of them to get enough to go around, but they're certainly long enough. This might be a little bit fragile because of the rigatoni exposed here, but yeah. So just get the biggest possible eggplants you can get, and that is it. That is my recipe. My recipe for eggplant timbale with rigatoni and vodka sauce. This is my Instagram and my Twitter handles. I recently went to North Carolina for a horror convention, and I got to meet some people that I'm a fan of and some people that I've known a long time but don't get to see very often, and made some new friends. I got to meet Robert Englund, and I got to meet Lance Henriksen. Lance Henriksen told me that the pink hat I was wearing made me look like an old lady. So sometimes it's tough when you meet somebody you're a fan of. Sometimes they take you down a peg or two. So my Instagram account shows all that stuff. I tend to share the broader aspects of my life there. So if that interests you, follow me. So please subscribe here either way. And also, I was saying the other day, I've said on other episodes on this channel that if you want to share these recipes, please do, and don't be inclined or feel like you only have to share them in the vegan community. Please share them in the meat-eating community, because those are the people that need to get on board. And that is that. Thank you so much. Please subscribe. And until next time, bye.